Of 19-year-old Antonio Hicks, charged with killing Air Force Sergeant Johnny Clyburn last Tuesday, is speaking out. She believes her son was simply jealous of the love she had for the decorated sergeant. Clyburn was engaged to Hicks' mother, and she calls her son a monster, wishing he could be sentenced to death for his heinous crime. 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig has the story.
It's hard to imagine any mother wishing her own son could get the death penalty, but Nicolena Pace says not many mothers have seen what she has witnessed.
To me, he's a monster. You were smart enough not to shoot yourself like that. You knew exactly what you were doing.
Nicolena Pace is talking about her 19-year-old son, Antonio Hicks, who allegedly shot the man she was so eager to marry, her soulmate, Air Force Sergeant Johnny Clyburn.
I think the devil was in Antonio, and I think he was jealous. I think he was jealous that he had to leave, because he knew he had to leave. We were planning a wedding. We didn't want you here. He knew he had to leave. And John was not going to take care of a grown man that wasn't even trying to help himself.
Nicolena says her fiancé was her everything, their love like a fairy tale. And she says all John ever tried to do was help her son, who was never diagnosed with a mental condition. But she and John thought the 19-year-old had some sort of problem, and John tried to help him get on Social Security. But Nicolena says her son never followed through, and he resented that he was going to have to move to Florida to live with his father.
If he does have schizophrenia and mental illness, he gives those people a bad name. I don't even believe he has that. I just think he has the devil in him.
The day after Memorial Day, when Sergeant Clyburn got home from work, he was in the basement cleaning up something Antonio broke.
So John turned around to see what Antonio wanted. That's when Antonio shot him.
Nicolena says she started hitting Antonio. He left the basement, but then came back. What do you think made him come back downstairs?
Because I think he still thought John was alive.
And Nicolena does not waver when she says she wishes her son could get the death penalty.
Wow.
Like a petition or something where he can get the death penalty and we can make an example out of him. And I would be the first person to put my signature at the top. I don't think he deserves to be here. He knew how in love we were. So why destroy it? It's like he think he walked away with something. Look what I took from you. He wanted to do this. I believe it was purposely done. I believe he thought about it. It was probably premeditated.
And to anyone who has ever loved John, Nicolena says she is sorry for what her son has done. On Detroit's
First off, rest in peace to the sergeant, but I find a lot disturbing. A lot of shit disturbing with this story. Did you notice the mother's demeanor? Did you notice the mother's demeanor about her son? The lack of love she had in her eyes, the lack of love she had in her heart. I can understand that you were in love with your new man, or I don't even know how long they were together, but your fiance who you were about to have this good life with. I understand it. I understand it, losing him, and that your 19-year-old son, who you said you was about to put out the house, right, at 19 because he wasn't trying for himself. We're going to get into that in a second. I can understand you having resentment towards your son in the moment right now, especially after, walking in on him doing something that heinous to somebody that you care about. But before you hop your ass on the news talking about your son deserves the death penalty, right? You are the woman that raised him up to that point, right? And I know people are going to say, okay, don't blame her for what this grown man, because at 19, she's right. You are grown, okay? But I'm gonna list a whole lot of factors here as to why she created the conditions, along with all the adults in this situation, for that son to grow up into the grown man that he became, right? And for her to sit there and act like she wasn't a part of that is crazy to me. First off, at 19 years old in 2024, right? If you haven't put the skills in him, or you haven't set him up to have the skills to move out on his own, or to go out on his own, or pursue school, or all that, he may have been a troubled teen. It may have been very hard to raise him, right? But at that point, I can understand, okay, we don't want him in the house. I have my husband, like she's saying, I don't want to take care of him, but you can just hear the resentment in his voice. You didn't give him the tools to be able to take care of himself at 19 years old. For you to be like, oh, you ain't got your shit together, get the fuck out. I couldn't imagine, right? For my children, right? I'm not going to go into our stuff, but I couldn't imagine throwing them out because they were trouble. You understand? Or because they were going through something, you know, because they didn't have their shit together completely at the appropriate age. Because at that point, as the parents, and I'm not just talking about the mom, the father too, even if the father lived across state or whatever, ultimately, both parents who created this person, you know, are responsible for who this person turned into as an adult. I'm not saying they're responsible for his actions. I'm saying they're responsible up until that point, especially 19, 20, 21, 22. You're responsible for who that person has become because the person doesn't have any life experience. So to have expectations that this person is supposed to have it together at this point is crazy. So obviously his father is estranged. He didn't want to go live with his father. You probably coddled him up to a point till he became a teenager. Then once he became a teenager, it became unbearable because the stuff that you were able to tolerate when he was a child, when he was a boy, right? The stuff that you would let him get away as a mother that no father would let him get away with. The stuff that you let him get away with as a child, once he's 14, 15, 16 years old and his grown man is starting to come through, you don't want to tolerate that. Now he becomes trouble. Now he becomes an issue. Then that translates to him dropping out of school or him not having prospects or friends or things in his life to make him want to pursue something when he's 18, 19, 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? People want to have to better themselves based upon their contemporaries. If there are no contemporaries around, contemporaries meaning your peers, the people you go to school with, the people you work with, right? If there's nothing to strive for, why would you aspire to be anything at 19? You probably kept him up in the house. You probably been through boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend throughout his life. You'd have met your Prince Charming, who you dote over, and you're like, no, you got to go all of a sudden. Your son, you didn't set him up to want to get out by the time he was 18. See, the thing is, my mom raised me too. My mom was a single mom. She raised me and my brother. And one of the things she did with me and my brother from when we first became teenagers, she set us up to be like, when you're 16, you're going to have to start working if you want to have certain things, certain luxuries in your life. You know, not the essentials, but if you want to have the best clothes, if you want to have, you know, like for me, new games, if you want to have the things that you want, you're going to have to work for that shit yourself. So you're going to have to get a work permit. You're going to have to go get a job and you're going to have to do this yourself. And that's stuff that me and my brother did, right? So by the time we were 18, 19, we already had work ethic in us to be like, all right, if I need to move out, I can move out. If I need to go get an apartment, I can get an apartment. If I need to do this, I can do this. You understand what I'm saying? If I need to start a family, I can start a family. But this child, and I'm calling him a child now, but this young man wasn't set up with the tools. And for her to have so much venom in her heart for her own son, you wish he'd get the death penalty? No redemption. No redemption for him, right? No redemption for your own... Bro, you as a mother especially should love your child more than anybody, more than your husband, more than any man, more than the guy you created him with. So for you to sit there and say that you would sign a petition for him to get the death penalty, it tells me a lot more that everything I'm saying about you as a person, that there was emotional neglect. I can see the emotional neglect in your eyes. You understand how just to expect a young person to just, okay, you're 18, 19 now, get the fuck out in this economy is crazy work. It's crazy work. And any fucking parent that's doing that right now, I don't give a fuck if they're grown or not. You're a piece of shit, bro. I can understand. Like you say, they're trouble. They're trouble. Da, da, da. But that pressure that's on him, pressure. Okay, you didn't spoil him up to the point. You didn't took care of him up to the point. He's 19, has no skills to take care of himself. Get the fuck out. You're about to be homeless. You probably don't have no friends, no nothing. You just crazy, right? Probably done put him on antidepressants. Probably have all kind of shit. Or we tried to put, because that tells me that they did. Because we think something was wrong with him, right? We think something was wrong with him just because you guys didn't probably know how to get through to him. We think something was wrong. Put him on pills. I'm assuming that's an assumption that he was on pills. But if they're saying they were trying to put him on Social Security and shit, and he's a young, healthy 19-year-old boy, you understand? You obviously think there's something mentally crazy there that can't be remedied by him just being out and about and him having his own life. Any young man that's 18, 19 naturally wants to have his own life. A girlfriend, a fucking, you know, in this day and age, a boyfriend, whatever the fuck you're doing. You want to do that in order to feel like you're a part of society. This story is so fucking disturbing to me. And then even for the stepfather, so I say, you stepfathers and people that come in, you have to be careful about how you're dealing with people's kids. You don't know the history there. You only know what she's telling you. You understand? This is the son. It's not even the father. You don't know the depths of despair that may be in the son or the father before you even get in that. That's why I said in one of my last videos, you might want to meet that man. You might want to introduce yourself to that person so y'all can just have like that, you know, just that primal, you know, yeah, I'm here, yeah, I'm good, yeah, you know, that, as opposed to, is your son okay? Because I'm pretty sure the father, you're going to have to go down and live with your father, blah, blah. The son, it's probably been built up in the son's mind, oh, his father's the worst piece of shit possible. I don't want to go down there. I can't go out there with him. I don't want to go to Florida. Oh, my God. Because all throughout his teenage years, you've been pouring salt on the father. I'm telling you that's what it is. Because why not just go down there with the father if they don't want you there? I'm telling you that's what it is. So, with that being said, Jesus, man. Like I said, rest in peace to the captain. I mean, the military guy that she was with, her fiance. Rest in peace to him. That's it's a terrible tragedy. You know, to his family, to the people that, you know, are, you know, he seemed like a, you know, decent person, honestly. It's just that when you are a man and you're going to come into a situation with a woman, you are going to try to assert yourself a little bit. And if they have grown kids or teenage sons or even teenage daughters in some cases, there's whole other issues that come along with that. You just got to be careful. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.